In today's video, we're going to talk about the Panasonic Lumix GH7. That's right, a micro four thirds camera. We're going to talk about what I would love to see come to this camera after getting my hands on the S1 Mark II. Let's get into it. Before we get into this video, it is a beautifully sunny day here today, but it is quite cold, so the jacket is staying on. Now, I recently was over in Austin, Texas, checking out the Lumix S1 Mark II, which is a great camera. I still have it at the house. I do have to give it back in a few more days' time, but it's been a fun camera to use. But one of the reoccurring themes talking to other creators at the event was how underappreciated the GH7 actually is. And I felt like this new S1 Mark II was basically a full-frame version of the GH7. It kind of feels very much like that, as opposed to an update to the S5 Mark II NX, which it also is. So it shares some parallels with both cameras. Obviously, it's a full-frame sensor camera, whereas we get micro four thirds with the GH7. But nearly everyone I spoke to said the same thing. The GH7 is the sleeper camera to choose. It really is such a great camera. It's powerful. It does all the same stuff we tested basically on the S1 Mark II, and it's way less expensive, obviously depending on where you live, of course. The GH7 is basically my go-to camera now for shooting videos outside. When it's sunny like this, I don't need full frame. Micro four thirds does the job. The image quality, dynamic range, and all that kind of stuff is beautiful out of this camera. But there's a few things missing that I would love to see now added to this camera in a firmware update, and we'll talk about that now. The first thing I would love to see come to the GH7, I think this is an absolute no-brainer, and I'll explain why, is the new Cine-like A2 picture profile. Now, being that the GH7 can get the ARRILOG C3 firmware key upgrade, it's a paid upgrade, there's no reason not to include that picture profile on this particular camera. I would actually love to see it come to all the cameras in the range. The new picture profile looks absolutely beautiful. It gives you ARRILOG color science just by selecting it in the menu. It's really cool. And after using the natural picture profile for years, the new Cine-like A2 is on a whole other level. You get excellent dynamic range and just great skin tones and just a beautiful overall look. So that would be the first thing I would love to see come to this camera. The second thing I'd love to see come to the GH7 is the new 4:1 aspect ratio that we found in the S1 Mark II. This is such a great aspect ratio to work with. It gives you a very cinematic look with very little effort. And I think if any micro four thirds camera is going to get this particular new aspect ratio, it would be the GH7, being that it's the flagship video camera from the micro four thirds range. I couldn't imagine any technical reason why this camera wouldn't be capable of that. Now, on the S1 Mark II, you can shoot up to 6K at 60p with that 2:1 aspect ratio. So even if the resolution wasn't quite 6K, it might be 5 point something K with the 2:1, I'd be more than happy with that. As long as we get double frame rate at least on the GH7, that would be absolutely killer. And again, this is one of my favorite modes shooting with the S1 Mark II. The third upgrade I would love to see on the GH7 come in a future firmware upgrade is, of course, the new cropless E-stabilization mode. Now, being that we get the same resolution sensor on the GH7 that's basically on the S1 Mark II or thereabouts, right? It should be enough to offer cropless image stabilization, which is E-stabilization on, but without actually cropping in on the sides of frame. It's pretty self-explanatory. Standard is still my favorite, but there's a lot of folks who love using the new cropless mode. I think that would be a no-brainer to add to this camera. The fourth thing I'd love to see come to the GH7 is the Urban Sports autofocus mode. And this is essentially a brand new human tracking mode that works if you're doing something unconventional in the frame. You might be skateboarding, surfing, whatever the case may be, and you're in a position where the regular human detection might not be as reliable. Now, while I had mixed results with this for photography, it was either fine or it missed focus completely. In video mode, it worked extremely well, and I think this would be a really cool mode for the GH7. A lot of folks who like to do action stuff still love shooting with micro four thirds, and again, this autofocus mode would be a no-brainer. Being that I shot my S1 Mark II review video out in the field, I didn't have a script, so it was all from memory and notes on my phone and paper and all that kind of stuff. And there was one thing I forgot to mention in that video, and that's that you can now copy files from the SD card to the CF Express Type B card or vice versa, or to an external SSD by using the USB-C port. So this is a really powerful feature. You know, the way we're used to working is, say, for example, I'm shooting with someone that might be doing behind the scenes stuff. I'd have to get a computer out, a card reader, and then copy all the files across, or connect the camera to the computer, and then do a transfer. This is one of those things that would make the whole workflow of transferring files a whole lot easier. So as long as you've got a spare media card bay on the camera, plug in another card, copy the files, and you're in business. While I'm a big fan of the GH7, I think after using the S1 Mark II and talking to the other creators and professionals that were at the event, they all said the same thing. Man, it feels like a full frame GH7. Man, the GH7 is so underrated and all that kind of stuff. And I absolutely agree. This camera is so good. You know, even after testing the S1 Mark II, if I had to choose between one or the other, it would be a very tough choice, unless of course you need the low light benefits of the new full frame camera. Now, there's pros and cons of every camera system. The lens lineup is a huge consideration, all that kind of stuff, but both are excellent. And if you've got a GH7, congrats, it's a killer camera. I don't plan on getting rid of mine. I'm almost considering moving a couple of things on and getting a second one because I like it that much. So yeah, Micro Four Thirds, whether you like it or not, I still think the GH7 might be the most underrated camera of 2025. Thanks for watching.